No offhand right
So
now, I can't.
it's a channeling. Rise is an
Egyptian?
entire planet of collect. So
Oh,
it's not a being; it's an entire planet of that formed a collective consciousness. And now is out there in the ether. Doing things, helping out, whatever. Do you I wonder what you think about the possibility for humanity as that sort of thing, as we are coming together, as we are merging this consciousness to actually merging ourselves together to actually become a higher consciousness, as in like an entire species, to share, to maybe leave some of those boundaries of speech, and just really just kind of merging into like a higher life form
yeah.
eventually. Like, what do you think?
50-50.
On the fence.
Why? We have been here before.
Mm.
And when you understand that your identity is not this physical body, your identity is a quantum energy field that is broadcast to your body, then you recognize the body come and go, but the broadcasts are always here. So you're an identity. No two people receive the same identity through, no two people have the same set of what are called self receptors on their cells. That's why you can't mix cells from one person to another, because if you put foreign cells in your body, your immune system looks at the reception on those cells and say, that's not us, that's somebody else, and eliminates them. Okay. So this whole idea is that once we start to recognize that we are this ongoing energy consciousness, it changes who and what we think we are. And now, can we take those changes and manifest them across a planet? Well, there have been other civilizations because we've been here before in different bodies in different lifetimes. And so we can say, oh, yeah, there was Atlantis. Yeah, that was around. What's the other one?
Lemuria.
Lemuria.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was here. And they didn't make it. And the idea is, are we going to make it? And I say, it would be really fun to do it this time because we can transcend then instead of repeating the whole thing and starting all over again.
Mhm.
And the idea is that with the technology that we have this time, I think we're much, much closer to it because we can get a collective energy like we're doing on this field right here, right now. And so I think there's a better opportunity for success on this version of it. But I'm going to be realistic and go, yeah, we thought that in the past too, I'm sure, and never made it. So are we going to make it? It's really close. As I said, we're facing an extinction process. It's not hundreds of years from now. We're talking within decades. This is going to unfold, and things are changing so dramatically. Will we be able to keep up with it?
Mhm.
If we work as a collective, yes. If we don't come together, then the odds are not as good. But that doesn't mean you can have a good life as the rest of it is falling apart too. Why? You don't have to participate in that world. It's a choice. You want to turn on the news? That was a choice. Can you do anything about it if you turn on the news? Nope. What can I do? I can respond. Oh, is it a good response? I go, Jesus, no, who wants to watch that stuff? And yet that was choice.
Yeah.
And I know this from personal experience because this was not the character of my life for 40 plus years.
Mhm.
It was not, it was until I took the consciousness that the cells offered me and then made it a program in my subconscious, was I able to experience what I now refer to every day as heaven on earth to me. It's heaven. Why? Well, somehow or other, I'm in a buffer zone most of the time where I'm not out there at the edge where all that angst is found. But that was what? Choice. It was a choice. And most of us don't believe we have choices because we must do this and we must do that. And I go, is that must real or is that a program? Is
Great.
that basically?
Thank you very much.
You're welcome very much.
Thank you, Angela. The next person I saw with that hand up was Renee. So go ahead, Renee.
Dr. Bruce, thank you so much for, like, you don't understand. Like, I even told Kyle, like, I was having like an anxiety attack with all the overwhelmingness of you coming on, because a lot of the people from Quantum Healing Collective, they've become my family, my tribe. And I gotta say, I just have to throw it out there that a lot of people are connected with you, through your teachings and your mentorship. However, I have to say, almost 10 years ago, you saved my life.
Well,
And I
you
don't want to
saved
get
your life.
emotional, but I had had a heart attack when I was 26 years old, and I was 8 months. Sorry, I was almost 8 months pregnant with my daughter, and I had a very sudden heart attack. And I knew I was under a lot of stress. My dad was battling cancer. My family was causing a lot of my environmental stresses. As you know, your environment has a big impact on that. And that's what led up to my heart attack. Well, after that, when I was in the hospital for 32 days after my heart attack, because I required blood transfusions, and my daughter was in the intensive care unit for 4 months. However, during my time at Women and Infants over here in Rhode Island, I was looking up environmental causes of heart attacks. And Dr. Michael Skinner initially had come up, and he talked about the video I had watched was epigenetics and transgenerational inheritance. And then as soon as I watched that video, I watched your videos on you've started popping up, your epigenetics background, and how, and I literally just had that awakening, like that aha moment. And I really started digging deeper into my environment, into how I reacted, and how to get away from those stresses. I'm literally, I'm healed. Like, I don't have the heart condition anymore. And I was able to kind of counteract a lot of those, the negative programs, and replace them with positive programs such as meditations and sound healing, journaling, just really kind of erasing the negative programs that I had. So I just wanted to, and I don't want to cry because I'm an emotional person. I'm an empath, so that's where that comes in. But I just wanted to truly thank you from the bottom of my very healed heart, how for really sharing your light and knowledge with others.
Renee, I want to thank you. And as I emphasize, you were the one that made the effort to make the change. So you're the responsible element of change, which is really important, because we have to own that we are doing this. And now that you've done this, what's really beautiful is that you are by definition a teacher, because there are a lot of people that are in the place you were, and you can say, I was there, and look where I am now. And then all of a sudden you become a real testament, not a textbook story, but a real testament to take back control of your life. And so to me, that's very important. If you recognize this is not a secret with your life, this has to be, told to people who are in the same place you were in before. And that's going to make a positive contribution to the planet we're in.
Thank you so much, Renee. I see Claudia's hand up.
Hello, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Thank you so much for being here. It's so exciting to get to chat with you.
Thank you.
I have an interesting question. I recently listened to a speaker named Drew Coleman. He created a company called Organifi, and he leads a very interesting life around spiritual entrepreneurship and things like that. Something that he mentioned, which is that what I'm trying to decipher, is that a lot of people speak about the 3D and the 5D, but something that I kept hearing in this podcast was the 4D. And so I just feel like there's a disconnect, and I'm trying to figure out where the 4D, how do we work the 4D? I feel like we're skipping over something, right?
Oh, I need to ask you the question. Are you saying D or G?
D, like the the third dimension,
Yeah.
fifth dimension.
Well, the fourth dimension is time.
Okay.
In other words, Three dimension, here's an object, but now in the fourth dimension, this object move. So that's another dimension you have to look at, okay? Every time you go up a dimension, it's a bigger, broader picture than the smallest, narrower one, okay? And so I don't know how many dimensions there are, but there's some numbers that to me is still mind-boggling. I can't really get into it. It's like, okay, I got 3, I got 4. From 5 until 20, I have trouble with, but it's a physics aspect that I'm just not in depth knowledge of to talk about it. But
Sure.
there are dimensions, and they really are collective when you look at them from the beginning point, which is a 0 dimension, to a line 1, to a cube, a square 2, to a cube 3, to a moving cube 4. And I can't, I don't know the litany of the 5 through 20.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Thank you.
But the fun part is we live in the 3 and the 4. So if you're happy in the 3 and the 4, don't worry about the other dimensions. They're going to be okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia. I see Caitlin's hand up. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Hi, Dr. Bruce. Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. Thank you so much.
Oh, good. Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank you first and foremost. I mean, I was lucky to get, I think it was the biology of belief in my hands about 17 years ago when I was like 15. So it's kind of guided me on my path. And I'm a therapeutic classroom teacher and like coordinator. So I work in that age you're talking about of
Yes.
elementary age from, kindergarten to 7 with a lot of kids who are like from abusive homes, failure to thrive, foster parents. And I'm wondering, I teach the staff and we do a lot of work with like attunement, the vagus nerve, setting up the environment to help the kids repattern into the present
Yes.
moment in their brains. I've worked with parents and some of them I've actually gave your book, and we've done like really amazing work over the past 10 years on these kids who have gotten out of institutions and like the pipeline to prison. But I'm wondering if you have any information or guidance on working with kids, like if you've seen any programs for the kids whose parents, when you can't get to that parent outreach level, that I could use with like children.
Yeah, this one of the most requested or suggested things is to offer for children this insight and opportunity. There are some books that are really good. Like on my website, there's a set of books called Max Rhymes, and it's like a cartoony story about programming for kids and to make better programming. Today, I just talked with another person about another set of books that also are based on this for kids. So there are more and more books coming out. Animations on the net. There's some really good ones for kids. Kids can dig the animations more than they can sit and watch a real person. So animations are really good. We have one, a couple of them. It's called After School, AFTER, but school is SKOOL. They have a whole series of animations on different topics, which I think are really profoundly helpful for younger people to watch this. So education is the most important job on this planet today because we have been miseducated, and the miseducation is creating this. And the only way out is to change consciousness. So interesting part, the most important jobs in the world that are getting the least support from my perception is being a mother and being a teacher, because these are the foundational roots of civilization. They're passed on to the generation that's coming. And the whole problem in our world is we've all been screwed up from the beginning. Now we have to fix ourselves as adults. This is a much more difficult job. It's easier for a 3-year-old to get it right than a 60 or 70-year-old person to get it right. So to me, this is really critical. And there are indeed some now materials coming forth. So the ones I'm familiar with, Max Rein's books, but we're looking at another set of books as well that we hopefully will put out in our newsletter and on our website. But After School is one of the versions of animations. And I found just a couple because a woman whose child got into a phobia because of the COVID fear. I found a couple of really wonderful immunology videos to talk about empowerment using cartoon characters and things like that. So I think the resources are definitely out there, and the more animation and the more colorful, that's the thing that gets kids, the easier it is to transmit a message. If I sat in front of this camera and started to talk, in about a minute, they would go fall out. So it's very interesting because I remember very specifically Sesame Street, which is, I think, still a fabulous resource. What they did is they put kids in front of the television when they were making the series. And what they did is they monitored the kids as the show was playing. And the moment where the kids all of a sudden start drifting off and looking somewhere else, they look at that and they said, okay, fix that part right there. And so they really cultivated an experience for children to keep them there. And the storyline for Sesame Street, that was great at that time. I haven't looked at it for years because my kids grew up with that. But that's what we need to do. And so resources are there. And even going back to that is a fabulous resource. There was another show, which I have to admit that occasionally I still, if I get an opportunity, I take a glance at it. It was called Dinosaurs, and it was by Jim Henson and the Muppets. And what was so wonderful about that story is that they had great messages in every story, but they were also, a parent could sit there and laugh with the kid because it was at two levels, and it was a wonderful thing, but there were always very important stories about education and how to deal with people and, the kind of thing you've been talking about. Great resources are out there on the web.
Well, thank you very much. And we'll be pushing that forward to our little kids that don't have a lot of help out here in New England. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dr. Bruce, it's Silver Stork here. Firstly, I just want to thank you for an incredible conversation. I could quite happily have these conversations all day and every day. Just love your
I appreciate you being there, because that's sharing our awareness is what the game is. Community.
Exactly, community. And that brings me on to this realization that I've had, and a couple of quick questions connected to that realization, which I would love your input on. And I'm very much of the mind, what can I do and what can we do? What projects can we create to
Silver, we lost you there for a second. If you could just repeat that.
And what projects we could create, and then it got.
Yeah, what projects we can create to create a better world, whether it's banning plastic, whether it's renewable energy, whether it's, creating a community project so nobody feels alone or isolated, and then, or creating a new system that works for everyone. And then I'm like, God, that's too much. It's too much. It's just not doable. There's got to be a simpler way. And then I heard of the Maharishi who started the transcendental meditation movement, and believed that when 1% of the global population comes into coherence and love, then it will shift the whole of humanity's consciousness. So
that indeed, yes. And there's demonstrations to the effect that that's possible already.
Yeah, so my first question on that note is, what percentage do you think would shift the global consciousness to where we need it to be?
First of all, I can only do with Maharishi is the only data that I've seen on anybody trying to attempt to do this with a meditation and a consciousness. And so that data is the data, the only one that I know. Percentage wise, I can't answer it, but I can tell you, as you already are aware in your community right now, is that you start building this where you live and you start building that community around you, what you have right here. It's that this is how it occurs. And so you get the benefit of what? If you're in the middle of that community, guess what? Just you don't see the edges where the trauma are anymore. But that community expands and then it joins with other communities. And that is the way of doing it. The idea that there's one day, all of a sudden, boom, everybody's in a community is not a likely event. Maybe the day the flying saucers land and they come out and the whole world's go like that. That might be a moment, something like that. But in the meantime, we are community building. You're a community builder. And this is, if you know this is the mission, then you're already walking on much higher ground. And you're engaging in that behavior enhances your vitality, which is why nature gives you this extra boost, because it says, you're doing something right. You get a benefit for doing something right. And that's the healthy, happy feeling that allows you to go to sleep at night without taking any pills and things like that. Then whether the whole world changes or not, that's not really relevant, is whether your world changes. That's the one that you really want to work with.
Wow, thank you, Silver. I see Rhonda's hand up. Go ahead, Rhonda. And thank you, Bruce, of course.
Dr. Bruce, I love you. Thank you for being here. I've heard you on another interview podcast talking about ways to change the subconscious program.
Yes.
So you talked about self-hypnosis, creating new habits, and energy psychology. And
Yes.
that part I'm not familiar with. And I also wanted to kind of blend that in with, what do you do on a daily basis to create?
Okay. Energy psychology, let me bring that in, because that's necessity is the mother of invention. And the interesting fact is this: we have a necessity to change our programming as fast as we possibly can, because it's our behavior that is creating a problem. And so out of that necessity comes this energy psychology. And I go, what the heck is that? Well, it's not the old-fashioned cognitive therapy talk about who did what to who and what happened in your history. That's actually not even relevant. What's relevant is your life experiences created programs. I don't need to go back and talk about how the hell the program was created. You have the program. And so the idea is this: going back in time is a waste of everybody's time and actually makes things worse, because you have to replay some of these programs, okay? So basically says, you look at your life right now, and here's the simple analysis. Look at your life right now and recognize this: the things that you like that come into your life, the things that come to you, they come to you because you already have programs to encourage them to be there. So you don't have to do anything with that. But then I say, but the things that you wish for, desire, but you have to work hard, sweat over, stress over it, put a lot of effort into it, I'm going to make it happen. I go, why are you working so hard? Mm-hmm. And that's where the beautiful answer comes from, because you have a downloaded program that doesn't support that outcome. So right away now, do I have to go over and find out who did what to give me that program? No, I have to just look at the program and say, what's it failing? Where am I failing in this program? Okay. The biggest one that is the biggest undermining factor in programming is that 80 to 90% of the people in these programs where we do belief change, where I get involved, when asked, to test for I love myself, 80 to 90% of the people will not test positive for that. And I go, why is that relevant? Well, we've been so criticized as children, and children not being conscious, but download the criticism, not good enough. Well, the parent was trying to stimulate you to do something, but if you're under 7, not good enough is just a recording. Why? Consciousness isn't there. So the criticisms that children get, like us, become programs because we weren't consciously understanding the meaning of why the criticism was given. And then I say, so what? I said, then 95% of your life comes from those programs. And all of a sudden you realize if you don't love yourself, how can anybody else love you? And all of a sudden you start to realize that's what I had to wake up to, was like, I was so critiqued that my own programming would push away anybody because I'm not lovable. That's what I was generating. Okay. So we need to change this. Do I need to go back and find out every stinking reason why I came up with that? No, it's irrelevant. I know I have this program. So now I say, so now what? I have a program. I say, now I want to change the program. And we talked about, well, the two natural ways was self-hypnosis with earphones on going to bed. The other one is just making a practice, a new habit that you practice just like a habit, where you repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and that's how you get a habit. And the third one is the fast one, energy psychology. And I say, what does that do? It engages what I would refer to as super learning. You know, what's super learning? I go, well, maybe you've seen somebody read a book by just opening up the book and moving their finger down the page. As fast as they move their finger down, just like that, they could read every word on that page. That's the subconscious is so far beyond our ability to recognize how powerful it is. But just moving your finger down a page allows you to read every word on that page. Okay. So there's a character called super learning that can do this. Apparently, energy psychology in some way. There's a whole bunch of modalities, but they're all connected to some way where you enhance a person's opportunity to download in a super knowledge way. I go, why is it relevant? Because then it doesn't take days, weeks, or months. You can make changes in minutes. And I say, wow. And I go, wow, because A, my life was profoundly altered by experiencing this. So it was like, for me, it was like I was a recipient of this experience, and then went around and went, oh my God, you can change your life very quickly, energy psychology. And there's a whole bunch of modalities on my website, brucelipton.com, simple, brucelipton.com. There's resources on belief change modification, which include about 20 plus of these energy psychology modalities. I highly recommend them. You can learn in other ways, but this cuts the pain out of it, and you can walk away minutes after one of these, processes and be different, just like that. It's just like, and I go, that's the miracle we need at a time like this. We don't have a lot of time to spend and change. So energy psychology has come up with an understanding of engaging that super learning so you can download a program just like that. And so the hardest part of the program is, what is the new program you want to put in? That's the hardest part, because it can't be negatives in there. It can't be futures in there. It has to be what you want as if you have it right now. And it has to be understood by a 5-year-old. The subconscious is not as smart as your conscious. It's a programming machine. But if the 5-year-old can't understand what you're wishing for, then the subconscious might have a problem with it too. So you could say, oh, I want more money. That's a nice wish in a program. I make more money. I program it. Okay. And then the child comes up and says, here's the penny. And it's like, well, that's more money, isn't it? I go, yeah, but I was thinking of a lot more. I go, oh, you didn't tell the 5-year-old, you just said more money. More is 1 cent is more. And then that's why the difficulty with the energy psychology is really framing the program you want. But then here comes the positive side. So you can frame it, and if it doesn't really work the way you want, guess what? Then put another one in. You can keep programming as long as you want. And as you do that, your life will unfold according to a new program. And that is the most amazing experience in the entire world. So all you have to do is just look at your life, say, where am I struggling? And the first thing you have to recognize, the struggle is not coming from the outside. It's the story of Bill playing from the inside out. So rather than trying to fix the outside, it's easier to come inside and say, I'll fix the inside. And then I have power.
Wow. Thank you so much, Bruce, for that answer. That was profound. And thank you, Rhonda, for that incredible question. We have time for a couple more, Bruce?
Yeah, let's do a couple more.
All right. Thank you. Paul, go ahead, Paul.
Hello, can you hear me?
Gotcha, Paul.
Hi, Bruce. My wife and I were recently married, and she really likes your books and content. We even have your book on hand. But the thing that I wanted to kind of ask you is this. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about the honeymoon effect.
Yes.
We are recently married, so how long does that last? Like, what is that?
I'll tell you exactly why, the mechanism behind it, so you understand it. Remember, I also said that we've been programmed, and most of those programs are negative, okay?
Yeah.
But when you fall in love, you stop playing the program. You stay more conscious. So conscious mind is wishes and desires. Who do you want to be in this relationship? That's a wish and a desire. So in your conscious mind, you are manifesting a honeymoon. But there'll be a point where you start thinking a lot. Why? It's a job, responsibilities, chores, whatever the heck it is. And I go, but what happens when the moment you start thinking? I said that the moment where you now shut off the conscious mind and let the subconscious take over. And then all of a sudden, those programs that weren't so great that you had all along, but were never seen in the beginning of the relationship. Why? Because we didn't play the program. All of a sudden, some of those programs come up, which leads some people to go like, who are you? Where did that come from? And the relevance about that is simply was, oh my God, that was a program that came up. Okay. Now, Margaret, my partner, and I had a lot of awareness of this. She came from a training program, belief programming, to help people get, change. And I came from a science thing, and we both recognized this. And it was really helpful because mainly when one of these bad behaviors show up, it pushes a button on the recipient who gets angry, and then all of a sudden there's communication of yelling, and it's like the person who even just did the behavior is like, Bill, didn't even see what they did. So all of a sudden this is where who are you? And then I go, what are you talking about? Why? I didn't see what I did anyway. If you understand this, then when negative programs come up, instead of an argument, it's a moment of pause and reflect. Yeah. Did you really mean to say this? And then it's like, no, I didn't really mean it that way. And I go, oh, okay, now we know a program we want to change. And then you fix that. And then you go on until the next one shows up, and then you fix that one. And every time you fix one of these programs and replace it with, you see, here's the beautiful part. You got the programs from other people, and these control your life. What if you put your wishes and your desires into that program machine? And here's the beautiful part, right? Once it's in the program, you never have to even think about it anymore. Why? It's been automatic all your life anyway. It just hasn't been taking you where you want to go. But if you put in where you want to go and it goes on automatically, then once it's into the subconscious, there's no more work. And now it's fixed. And therefore, everything that comes out is something you would wish to say, or, desire to say, or to be who you want to be. But then, because Bill cannot see his own behavior, that's what the story was all about. Only somebody can watch Bill and see the behavior. So now you're in a partnership and you have a partner. If you slip up, it's really your partner has the opportunity to say, well, that wasn't, did you really mean this? Or, was it, let's discuss this. A discussion then is not an argument. A discussion gives you an opportunity to peaceably decide, let's do something positive. An argument is putting wires together that short circuit and burn up and blow out. And so it's like, no, you're in a relationship. If something that does not support that relationship shows up, you can't see it because you just automatically said it. The only other person that can see it is your partner. And all of a sudden, then you start to recognize as partners. If somebody on the outside criticizes you for what you said, you get angry with them. Oh, they criticize me. And I go, but in this particular case, it's not criticism, it's an adjustment. And if you treat it that way, then it doesn't turn into an argument, which is where honeymoons start to disappear. When all of a sudden bickering and comes in, it blows the picture. So the beautiful part about it is this: you have an observer of you. And if you're not supporting yourself with a behavior, your observer is a guide, an angel, in the sense of saying, No reason to get into a fight about this, but that behavior was this. And then you can fix it. And you guess what? After a short period of fixing, and you get almost all the glitches out, life is so smooth. It is so easy because you're not unconsciously sabotaging yourself. But you need to see it. Bill can't see it. Bill can't see. He's like his dad unless somebody points it out. And if somebody points it out, as I said, the old way, as soon as they point it out, you get irritated, because they were criticizing you. But in a relationship, it's not criticism. It's building trust and hope and faith into the community. That's better. And that takes you for an opportunity to create a change. And when that change is in there, no more work is required. You will now automatically be that person for the rest of your life. That's the beautiful part.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Bruce. One more question before we go to our closing prayer. All right. Leah.
Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I feel like probably more excited than if I was talking to Tom Cruise. And I just thank you for all of your information. It's utterly changed my life. So thank you.
Well, I want to thank you because you're the one that utterly changed your life. Again, like when we talked with Renee, it's like, here's an opportunity to reveal how powerful you are. You change your life. I gave you knowledge. Knowledge is power. You took the knowledge and made power. So I really want to emphasize it that way because it's a personal thing you did. And you should be honored.
I will agree with that. I am very powerful. So I agree. So
yes.
My question is, so I am a hypnotherapist and I also do EFT. So I love the hows. I love the processes. And I know you talk about Psych K.
That's another version, another modality. It's a different version. EFT is more like a pattern interrupt, meaning I was off on the wrong trail, saw I was off on the wrong trail, said, stop, do something else, whatever. And I say, but what happened? You stopped. If you didn't stop, that play would have gone on and may have had a very bad ending to it. But that was a moment of choice because when you realize it, I stopped that behavior. Now that gives you a moment to say, okay, is there something better for me to do? Is there, what else? Is there other options or anything like that? But if you're engaged in a running thing, you don't see it until it blows up at the end and it's like, oh. And I'm going, no, if EFT is the moment that says, this isn't working right, I can stop right now. And that is the moment where you have freedom because you want to restart that again. That was a moment of choice as well. Or you can say, I'm not going back into that dialogue or whatever I was. I'm out, I'm over here. And that's your power that you have. So EFT is really important because it stops. But it takes a repetition of EFT before the learning of that, whatever you were trying to stop will actually stop. So Psych-K is a little different because it changes the program without a lot of repetition. You can just change the program. EFT is so important because you can do that anywhere, anytime. You catch up and you say, wait, this is going off the tracks. I can stop. I can stop. That's the most important learning. But Psych-K is when you identify what that issue is, then you can rewrite it just like that. And so that one doesn't show back up again, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Bruce, for spending time with us. Before we do our closing prayer, I just want to thank Annie too from your team. She was incredible to work with, Bruce.
I appreciate that so much. Again, that's part of, hey, everything around me has changed when I changed. And I end up with the most wonderful support team.
Yeah.
And started with Margaret. And once I understood how to have a relationship for 40 years, I was so bad at relationships. I didn't even believe love existed except in a book. And, but the learning of it was so profoundly important for me because, I mean, I was so bad at relationships. I didn't even believe love existed except in a book. And, but the learning of it was so profoundly important for me because, I mean, I was so bad at relationships. I didn't even believe love existed except in a book. And, but the learning of it was so profoundly important for me because I wrote a book on the honeymoon effect. A guy who couldn't even get a relationship to get off the ground writes a book on the honeymoon effect. Is because I learned so much from the experience of cells to recognize I'm in charge of my life. Every one of you out here right now is in charge of your life. What you give away is what you give away. And there's a moment where you can stop and say, I don't want to give that away anymore. EFT could come in right there or anything and say, I'm changing this behavior. And as you pull in and start to create what you want to create instead of what you've been programmed to create, then around you, as we talked about it, the whole world didn't change around me, but around me in my close proximity, like Annie, who works for me, Laura, my nephew, Alex, who does my videos, that's a community. And we work off of each other and the harmony and wonder that comes out of that. Is that available to everybody? Yes. But then you have to shape that community. And you have to be the decision maker, say, I will not participate in this anymore. Oh, and then you are demonstrating control. And that's what we have. And I remember when I first started, they were like, we do it because this is socially the way we do things. And then at one point I thought, yeah, but what a pain in my ass to be social at this moment. And here's an opportunity to say, no, I'm not going to do this. And it's like, and a lot of people look at you like, they expect you to do something and then you say no. They're just like, huh? But then guess what? You have freed yourself. That's the first thing I remember just very quickly was I was coming across a concept of doing this. And I was in my office in the lab at the medical school, and one of my colleagues came in and said, we're having our faculty party this Saturday. What are you bringing? And I stopped for a second thinking, I hate those damn things. Everybody stands around like they pretend like they like each other and they're just standing there with a drink. And I thought, Saturday night? And I just, all of a sudden I just said, no, I can't make it. And he looked at me like, well, we all, it's like we all go to the faculty thing. Nope, whatever the reason was, I can't make it. That person walked out of my office, and I want to tell you, I had such a jolt of energy as somebody put a battery and attached to me at that moment. What? I just saved Saturday night for me. And I didn't have to do that socially responsible thing that took away from my life and did not add to my life. And that was the first one. And that guy walked out of my office. The first thing that came in my head is, what's next? What's the one?
Oh, man. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for all this, Bruce. Like, truly, on behalf of the entire Quantum Healing Collective, we genuinely love you and appreciate you. So Angela is now going to read a little prayer. What we do is we harness this energy and we send it out to everyone awakening at this time. So Angela,
wonderful.
Whenever you're ready.
Yep. Thank you again so much from all of us. Thank you so much. I truly feel that you've just given us a boost, and what we've been trying to do is enhance our broadcast. So welcome everyone who has not been here before, and of course those of you that have. We love you so much. I just put all of our links in the chat. This video, of course, will be up. Kyle will get, he does that. He'll probably post in Facebook when it goes up. You can email us directly. Help us broadcast, help us boost, because Dr. Bruce just gave us an excellent answer. I felt, which I feel a lot. What more can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Well, I feel like Dr. Bruce said, we're doing it. Like, this is it. We're doing it. So let's broadcast, let's enhance, let's keep doing it. Please help us and come again. We have speakers every week. So with all of this gratitude and goodness, I'd like to do the dedication of merit, which is we dedicate the merit of this meeting to all those awakening at this precious time. May our efforts to better ourselves help shift the planetary consciousness from fear into love. May this energy ripple out into the world and awaken those with closed hearts, illuminate closed minds, and inspire all to live within the presence of compassion and generosity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. We'll allow everyone to unmute themselves so they can say bye.
Bruce, thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you so
Love
much.
Thank you so much.
Love.
Thank you. Love it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
New Zealand is awesome.
Yes. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're out there because what you're doing is making my world better. Thank you all for your contribution. Thank you. Have a wonderful, wonderful time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.